Hey guys, welcome to the HVAC Diaries. Today is Friday, October 13th. It's Friday the 13th today, if you believe in that. And this is my weekly HVAC vlog brought to you by New Calgon. This week was pretty slow for us, but that is typical for this time of year. But we did have a job every day, so we did go out, and I've got a few adventures to tell you about. Even though we did a couple of jobs this week that we typically wouldn't do, but I'll tell you all about that later. This week we did another one of those water source heat pump unit replacements in that office building. Alright, here's our unit from last week, and the one we're doing this week is right in this room. This is the second to last one that we have planned. We're just waiting for the last unit to arrive. There was a long shipping delay on this one. And once it arrives, then we'll get it in. And then that's the last one of the planned water source heat pump unit replacements. But because we've been doing so many of them, now we've kind of found our groove. It's kind of cool. We just each have our own little jobs. And usually I will take care of the ducting. I'll dismantle the ducting from the unit. I will take care of controls. So just basically dismantle or disconnect the thermostat cables. And then also the power. We need to transfer the power cable from the old one to the new unit. So I get to take care of that. And my brother usually takes care of the water side, so he'll do the two water lines and the drain. And then it's all hands on deck to get the units off and like onto and off of the platform, the lift platform.
Both sides. You got it.
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a pretty good little setup we have. When we order these units, we have to be very specific because we have to make sure that the return is on the correct side. Otherwise, everything is off. Everything, we have to rejig everything, and that's just not ideal. Everything is in place. Even the mounting feet are in the exact same place. The only thing we do need to change is the blower. So the blower comes side discharge from the factory, and we need it to discharge from the back. So all we have to do is take off all the panels, flip the blower onto its side, and then rejig all the panels. But again, this one was an easy one because it was in that space that is being renovated right now. So there's no furniture. Actually, while we were there, they were busy sanding and they were starting to prime the walls. So it seems like they're almost finishing up there, which is perfect because we got in while they were busy. It's so much more difficult to work around furniture and just people's stuff because of the footprint of the Genie lift. It's really big and it's really difficult to like snug up against a wall, but we have made it work numerous times in challenging, tricky situations. We also worked on a Fujitsu mini split system this week. Actually, if you recall a couple months ago, it's the same one that we looked at then that was doing something really funny. So it would work, it would start and it would work for about 30 to 60 seconds, and then it would just stop. For about 90 seconds, it would just stop, and then it would try again. And again, 30, 60 seconds, cuts out, not happening. When we ran it in test mode, everything is perfect. It'd run for 10, 15 minutes, no problem. So we actually ended up calling tech support because we couldn't figure out what was going on, and they suggested that we replace all of the thermistors. So at the time, we told our customer we're going to do this, and they said to us, actually, no, there's going to be nobody in that area for the foreseeable future. We don't have a plan for it, so we don't really want to spend the money on it just yet, so let's just leave it. Okay. Randomly, this week they call us and they're like, actually, we want to move forward with that. Now we've got a plan for that area again, so we want that unit to be working. So we replaced all the thermistors. And it was a bit of a tricky job because to get to the thermistors, you basically have to strip the whole unit. You have to disassemble it and take it apart, which we did, and we got to the thermistors.
Here.
Yeah.
I think it might, yeah.
They're pretty cool, actually. They're all color-coded and marked.
But there's definitely something that's all mixed together.
But that didn't make it easy to replace them because the little clips in them are so tiny, and also they're hidden underneath the motherboard, the control board. So you basically have to lift the control board, flip it because it's still attached. It doesn't actually disassemble. You have to leave it attached. Gotta pull it out, and then anyway. It was a stressful challenge, but we got it done. And I have show and tell for you. I brought the old thermistors. Here they are. Oh, it's caught on something. So here's two sets of them. They're, as you can see, they're all color coded. That's the little sensor in it. It goes into this little sensor holder, and it's got a little sensor clip to keep it in place. And then these are the plugs that go into the board on the other side. We tested the unit, not in test mode. We tested it in normal operation, and it works. We did 2 jobs this week that we wouldn't typically do. One of them was a residential HVAC job. Usually we don't work on residential systems for reasons that we have in our little business. Unless it's somebody that, it's usually one of our customers, our commercial customers that call us and they're like, our furnace is doing this, can you come and take a look at it? In this case though, it was my dad's old neighbor. So she called him up and was like, hey Neil, like my heat's not working, do you think you could come help? And he could not say no. He's of course will be there. So in her case, it was just a combustion blower motor or a venter motor, or if you remember from last week's vlog, a draft inducer motor. Yeah, there's so many names for the same thing. Anyway, so my brother and I went over there earlier this week and we replaced that combustion blower motor. But when we got there, it's in her garage. When we got there, there's this like punching dummy that was there that gave me a fright in the beginning. Ooh.
Johnny Cash over here.
And then as we were working, he was just kind of behind us. As we were working, like every once in a while, I'll just catch a glimpse of him in my peripheral, and I was like, oh, there's a guy there. Oh, there's a person. He got me so many times. The job itself was kind of boring only because I didn't get to do the job. I want to do all the jobs, but I can't do all of them. My brother got to do that one, so I was just his helper there.
Can I have your...
I did go into the house though to test the thermostat, and they've got a dog there who he barked and barked at me so loud, but he was so scared of me. I was like, you're not a very good guard dog, but anyway.
Are you a guard dog? I don't think you are.
And actually, earlier in the week, I went to visit my friend Chantal from Kane. She's part of the Women in HVAC Art Canada group. And I picked up a new CO meter from her because mine died on our rooftop last week. So I picked up a new one from her at Kane. And then I actually got to test it out at that lady's house. However, I did something silly and I put it right against the register, and you're not supposed to do that. It's actually an ambient sensor, so it could get damaged if the air coming out of that vent is too hot. It could actually damage my brand new meter. So I made a little mistake there. So instead of holding it at the vent, just have it in the room. Just have it sense ambient room. Yeah. The other job that we typically wouldn't do was installing an extractor fan in a little kitchen. So this client of ours owns all of the liquor stores and pubs that we service here. He's a pretty big client of ours. So when he asked us to install an extractor fan in his kitchen, we said, of course we would do that. We don't typically do a whole lot of the V in HVAC, the ventilation. So sometimes we struggle when we are faced with that kind of job. And you know, it was supposed to be such an easy job. So basically the kitchen is here. He's got his office next door, and then there's a big warehouse in the back. So he wanted the kitchen to be vented into the warehouse where it's a lot larger, the space is bigger, the kitchen smells or whatever will just kind of dilute in the warehouse. No. So simple. We're going from one wall through a wall into the warehouse. Simple. No, it wasn't simple. There turned out to be a staircase right there, which we didn't quite see or figure out. So when we drilled our pilot hole, Trevor's like, can you go and see where it came out? So I go into the warehouse and I'm like, I don't see a pilot hole here. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm definitely in. I was like, I definitely don't see you. So we investigated. We drilled 2 pilot holes into the stairwell. Who puts a staircase there? I mean, honestly. Anyway. So we had to rejig our plan. Instead of going straight through the wall into the warehouse, we now had to go through the guy's office, all into the ceiling space, so nothing's seen. Go through the guy's office and then into the warehouse that way. But honestly, like, that wasn't part of our plan today. It took us a lot longer. We got her done, and it actually looks really nice. I'm very impressed with how it turned out. It's beautiful.
The screws and everything.
And she's off. Oh my gosh, that's so nice. It's beautiful. I love it. Oh, it's so nice. Okay, good. I did spend a little bit of time in the office this week, actually my home office, on my laptop, because the 15th of the month is coming up and I have to take care of all of my mid-month stuff. Basically, I have to make sure that all of my bills are paid, so all of my suppliers that I buy stuff from is paid. Also stuff like cell phones and insurance and boring stuff like that. But then I also have to do government remittances, which includes like tax reporting and CPP and just government stuff that we have to do. Now, because you guys mentioned that you maybe want to know about that stuff, I'll let you know that I use 2 different programs for my admin stuff. I use one called Jobber. That's for all of my incoming stuff and for anything to do with my customers. So if there's anything that I need to remember, obviously I'm sending out quotes and invoices, receiving payments from them all through Jobber, but also anything that I have to remember. So if I've got any notes, that might be filter sizes or V-belt sizes, or notes for next time that I go there. Hey, don't forget the V-belt next time, or bring spare filters, or whatever the case. Or even like lockbox numbers, washroom codes, a whole bunch of just information that's stored there. And then, so that's my income side, and then my expenses side, I use QuickBooks Online. So that's all of my outgoing payments, my bank statements, payroll, anything else. And it's really cool because these two speak to each other. I do all of my invoicing in Jobber, and then once I've sent them out, I send them over to QuickBooks so that at the end of the year, my accountant will have a full picture of our accounting, our bookkeeping, which is pretty cool, I think. And because I am a brand ambassador for Jobber, I'm just gonna give myself a little plug here. If you're interested in trying it ever, it's such a great CRM and it's specific for home services businesses. So think like painters, lawnmowers, landscapers, cleaners, there's even poop scoopers, those kinds of services. They would really benefit from Jobber. So if you visit my link, www.getjobber.com/Jess, you'll get a free trial, and you don't even have to put your credit card in to try the free trial. And then they'll also give you a discount if you decide that you like using it as much as I do. So yeah, that's what I use, Jobber and QuickBooks Online, and they work together. We had a few other very small service calls this week that are not really worth mentioning. Alright guys, I will leave it there for this week. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the HVAC Diaries HVAC vlog. I hope next week is a little bit more exciting than this week was. Kind of a boring week. But always something to do in HVAC land. I love making content for you guys. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye.